Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you're listening from or watching in the world. This is the Overcast Gamer Show. My name is Abe Foster. I'm joined by my usual cohorts, Regan Harper and Balthazar Valentine. And we are at the final show of the year, boys. The year is almost done. How's everyone feeling?
Good. Well,
yeah,
good in the sense that, you know, this is a nice time of year and we get a bit of time off. I'm a bit sick, which is, you know, counteracting that slightly. But generally,
down with the loogie, Regan.
Yeah, quite down with the loogie. Down with the sickness. What was the band from the 90s that had, was it Disturbed?
Yeah, you're being on the money.
Yeah.
Disturbed.
Yeah. I'm currently Disturbed. But feeling good about the the end of the year. It's been quite the year in games, I think.
It has been quite the year, and I think we're going to go over, do a wee look back revision of the year, I suppose, and just look back at everything that's come out and all the weirdness, wacky, wonderful weirdness of 2018 in the gaming landscape. Balthazar, how you doing, man?
Yeah.
So as per usual.
Yeah, bit sick as well. Past couple of days,
yeah.
And then compounded by my stupid decision to stay out late in town last night. So,
oh, nice.
I feel like
as well, but yeah.
I feel like there's a story here, man. I don't take you as the usual the club hopper or the staying out late type. What was going on?
Yeah.
I was just hanging out with a mate who's here he's been living in Saudi Arabia for like the last 3-4 years.
Wow.
And yeah, he's just back in the city and he had a dinner at Genghis Khan. Good place.
Nice, yeah, it's a good place. Shout out.
So yeah, went to that. And
Shout out Genghis Khan. Luxury bags.
And then went off after that. So yeah.
Nice,
man.
Yeah.
Is that red wine you're drinking there, Balthazar?
Yeah.
Just
Keep going.
Yeah, nice.
There's one thing that will get me through this Game of the Year awards thing, and it's red wine at 9 in the morning.
I can't stand wine. And I had some last night, and it was so nasty. And they were like, "No, you can't throw that out. That's expensive shit. You got to drink it." So it's, what can you do? Yeah, what can you do but naked at that point? You're like, I just want it gone.
Yeah.
Why is
choke it down,
wine
mate?
That's meant to be expensive and fancy is never that great? Like, especially red wine. Like, the good red wine is the worst red wine, it would seem.
I used to have the same opinion. So my history with wine, I suppose we should go off on this tangent. It started back in 1996, I think.
Wow.
Sneaking little sips of I don't know if you guys know the brand Velveto Russo. It's a box wine.
Sounds classy.
Yeah, extremely classy. My parents had Velveto Russo in the pantry, and I used to be a badass and sneak a little bit of that. It tasted absolutely terrible, but every time we'd have friends over, we'd sneak a wee bit and have some Velveto Russo.
Amazing.
It was like vinegar, like basically pure vinegar. It was. I've never thought about this, but maybe my parents just replaced it with vinegar. Maybe they knew what we were doing. It's just, oh god, of course.
Maybe it was it was wine
part.
syrup. You were meant to add water to distill it down.
Oh yeah, like that crazy Thai Red Bull concentrate that you can get in some pharmacies, it's funny stores.
Or it's just,
awful tasting stuff.
It's probably just cooking wine, right? Like
probably,
really
I don't know. It had some
low-grade
weird
cooking wine.
Renaissance picture on the box. It looked relatively fancy, and then I saw it when I grew up. I saw it in the supermarket, and it was like $8 or something. I was like, oh yeah, no.
I feel like $8 for 3 liters.
8 liters or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was terrible. But then, all my worst hangovers can be traced back to wine. I think. Always good. Always get a really good sort of warm buzz off wine, and I love the sort of buzz that it gives me. But man, the consequences are not worth it. They are not worth it.
Is it the same for red wine and white wine? Because I don't really drink at all.
Yeah,
so,
I think it. Yeah, it has been the same for both. Yeah, I've had terrible great nights, terrible mornings on both.
Right.
Red wine and white wine. Yeah.
I've never had a hangover. I can't comment on either.
You've never really?
I've in my youth, got to the point where sort of you're blackout, like literally blacked out from being drunk and stuff, but next morning I'm always just fine. Like a bit of croakiness in the throat from the shouting during the night, but...
Yeah. Going to love that.
Like, I've never had next day effects from drinking.
Oh, man.
You're a special kind of human being, Balthazar. That's...
Yeah, hangovers, man. Like, I just can't deal with them anymore. It's not worth it. It's not worth the jolliness for the consequences in the morning. That's not a good trade-off anymore.
I think really it's just about hitting a good middle ground, right? Like not going so hard that it's a thing. Yeah.
I mean, once in a while, I think is fine. But yeah, exactly, Regan. Like 4 or 5 beers or something like that is usually a pretty good spot. I would say. But yeah, some of the wine nights. First time I got really hammered was on wine, and it was at a marae in the Whited Upper.
Amazing.
It was at a friend's 21st. For our international listeners, a marae is I suppose it's a relatively sacred place.
It's a pretty sacred
place. Yeah, for a pretty sacred place in the in the Maori culture. I was with Maori people, so I didn't feel too bad about it because we were all getting shit faced, so it was fine. But yeah, it ended up throwing up, and I remember a few of the sort of marae elders coming over and giving us all a big scolding and like.
As they should, as they
should.
Oh,
absolutely, yeah. 15-year-old little shits need to be told what's what and learn some respect. But God,
drinking
wine.
tips for the holidays from OCG. There you go.
Yeah, or I mean, in Europe, I've grown an appreciation for wine again in the form of mulled wine. Absolutely adore it. One of my favorite things in the world. A good mulled wine, hot wine, just the best.
I don't like warm beverages, full stop. So I'm out.
Oh man, listeners and viewers, those loyal will know that Balthazar often refers to myself and him as, I suppose, what are parallel universe versions of each other or something, and that we're often on the same wavelength. But yeah, no, obviously not on that one.
That's where the parallel universe part comes in. You went for hot and I went for cold.
Yeah. Warm bevies are like one of my favourite things in the world. It doesn't like cup of tea, hot chocolate, mulled wine, obviously, sort of thing.
Being sick the last couple of days, I've just been smashing the back out of a bottle of that like lemon honey ginger concentrate that you can buy.
Nice. Yeah.
That's where it's at. If you're sick, that stuff. Oh yes.
I'm glad you didn't say smashing the bottom out of a bunch of lemsip, Regan, because you'd probably be on some sort of list, because that's one of the main ingredients in making pee.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And it's just, it's not good for you, that shit. Like,
no, it's
so
not.
much paracetamol in it. Like, 2 of them and you're ODing on paracetamol. Yeah,
and it's got pseudoephedrine or it's either pseudoephedrine or the other one, which is one of the main ingredients in making, in New Zealand we call it pee, meth. Basically the worst drug in the world. Not recommend old lemsip. I remember when that came up as like a public service announcement. It was a television commercial or something like that, and they were just like, anyone who buys a bunch, like 3 packets of lemsip is now on a watch list. Another funny old New Zealand thing, eh?
Yeah,
but
this conversation is taking an interesting turn.
Yeah. But end of the year anyway, and I thought we'd go back and just relive, I suppose, not the moments from the year. We'll run through the games that were released this year, and if you guys have anything to say about them, if something meant a lot to you or you thought it was a load of old bollocks, just pipe up and we can go through it. So we'll kick things off as you do with January 2018. We had, during this month, Street Fighter V Arcade Edition. We had Celeste, which was nominated for Game of the Year at the Keeleys.
Have any of you guys played? I don't think any of us have played Celeste, but it feels like something we probably should check out.
Yeah, I've been dying to play that, actually. I think I might pick it up on Switch ASAP, because that seems like something that's really up my alley. It's a neat little... It's a platformer, it's a neat little pixel art game, it's really simple, and it has a really good message to it, sort of thing. A good sort of subtext underlying.
Although I hear it's quite hard.
Yeah, something like that. And hard, yeah, ridiculously hard apparently at points. But I think that sort of weaves into the themes a wee bit.
Right.
Perseverance
right.
And getting through the hard times.
Briefly as well on Street Fighter 5, did you guys hear about what's going on with that at the moment in the news?
Yeah, the branding.
Yeah, branding stuff. Like,
oh, that's a shocker,
that game's just been
Seeing
a shit show for the whole year.
So, Reagan, I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, but
No.
Street Fighter Namco Bandai, I always say Namdai Banco, gets they're basically selling out as hard as you can possibly sell out. They're going to start selling advertisements in game, so like gloves and stuff in Street Fighter or T-shirts or what have you will have product placement on them. So that they started putting like it was like the Evo brand or something, Balthazar, on Ken's gloves or something like that, and it looks fucking
stupid. Because they wouldn't, these characters would not be wearing branded clothing. They're wearing their, martial arts outfits.
Their keys and stuff like that.
The good thing is you can turn it off in game. Like you can go to the options and turn off branded content. But if you turn off branded content, you forfeit all in-game currency that you were doing from winning matches, which is how you unlock characters and outfits and stuff like that. So it's like, you can play without ads if you want, but then you get nothing.
Oh, okay.
So they've just turned it into
that's
an
something
ad
at least, I
platform.
suppose.
They've just turned their game into an ads platform.
Yeah.
That's next level stuff. That's incredible.
It's
I don't know
also,
what to say to that.
still the year it came out and it's already got 3 season passes.
Just flogging the shit out of that horse. Wow.
Oh man, that's terrible. That's a nice way to end January. Actually, sorry, we still have Dragon Ball Fighters, which came out in January. Balthazar, you were a huge fan of that, I remember.
Yeah, very good game.
Very much enjoyed Dragon Ball Fighters. And also, biggie, Monster Hunter World came out in January as well. January 26th.
Yep. Another great game that I played for a few days. And then
a relatively pretty decent month.
Yeah. One of the best games in the year, Monster Hunter. So crazy for that stuff to come out at the start of the year.
If you ask good friend of OCG, Michael Langdon, about Monster Hunter World, he'll tell you it's probably his favourite game of all time, which says a lot,
Well, moving on to February, we have Final Fantasy XI, The Zodiac Age. That came out on PC in February. I believe it was the previous year on everything else, right? On PS4 and everything like that?
I think so.
Yes. I didn't play it this year, so it would have been.
Yeah, kind of been this year. We had Shadow of the Colossus remake on PlayStation 4, obviously, February 6th. Which, one I haven't managed to pick up yet, and I'm very ashamed of myself for not having to manage to play that yet.
It's the kind of thing that I feel like, if you played the original game and you liked it, but you weren't you weren't jonesing for it when the remake came out, you could probably get away with waiting till it's kind of in the bargain bin, at your local game store, and then playing it and loving it then, because it's it's a nice to have, but I wouldn't call it a must have, if that makes sense.
Okay, that's interesting. I heard it was so good, and I own the original on PlayStation 2, but I didn't buy it when it came out. I bought it, 5 years after it came out, from like a Video Easy or something. I had a pre-owned copy that I never got around to playing it because I was going to play through Ico? Yeah,
Ico.
I'm not sure. Ico, and then Shadow of the Colossus, and I started playing Ico, and I got annoyed with the whole thing being an escort mission, and then just got jaded by the whole experience. So I was like, I'll play something else.
Yep.
But heard Shadow. Balthazar, you reviewed it earlier in the year for us, and I've heard it's amazing. I've heard it's a fantastic remake. So definitely keen to check that out at some point. We also had Regan. This was a big one for you, man. Kingdom Come Deliverance.
Yeah, I played this. I didn't finish it, but that's because I think I got distracted by another game. I can't remember what the other game was, but Kingdom Come Deliverance was a cool game, and I think I probably will go back and finish it at some stage. a little bit buggy and a tad clunky, that kind of thing. But it was just interesting to see them go for that like realism aspect. There was no sort of magic or anything like that, and that gave it quite a bit of charm. So if you're into the sort of open world fantasy type thing, then it's worth. I think it's worth looking at. It was really driven by the characters. I think they did a good job at telling a nice story with a really cool sort of protagonist in there. So it was a good game. Well done to, I can't even remember who the dev was, but good job.
Something to do with horses. Something horse.
Oh,
They were
Wasn't
Czech Republic
Lucky Horse,
studio.
was it?
No. God, no. Showing your ignorance here.
yeah.
I can't remember. Something horse, and they're from Czech Republic. I remember because the game's set there. But yeah, that was an interesting thing to watch. That game come out and sort of the acclaim it got, and then the sort of, I suppose, backlash that came along with it, with some of the bugs and things like that, people losing their progress and things. But I really I haven't played that game, but I really respected the analog, the sort of bringing things back to analog that it rode with, where and I suppose that's almost a precursor for Red Dead 2 later on in the year, where that sort of did the same thing. But I was really interested. I'm always really interested in games that basically don't give a shit what you think, and they're like, nah, you are going to have to do this, and deal with it. But moving on, we have Owl Boy, which I have yet to play. Super excited to play that at some point. That's sort of a SNES inspired, or I suppose Master System inspired platformer, which was released on PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. We had Bayonetta 1 and 2 collection on Switch, which is extremely good value, and I would love to pick that up as well. Balthazar, they're from, obviously your Platinum Games number one fan.
Fantastic games. They've aged well. Like, they don't feel super old. So I think it helps that it's because it was on Switch as well. Playing a game handheld doesn't need to look incredible because it's handheld. It looks better anyway, just the fact that it is on a smaller screen in your hands. So yeah, really good. Aged really well.
Nice, man. We had, do you guys remember Faye? It was one of the EA Originals games where you sort of communicated with nature. I think it was all about sound and communicating with nature. Haven't played it. Haven't played it yet, but it did come out February 16th.
Do you remember when we went to the Incubus concert earlier in the year,
yes.
Abe? And I was up in Auckland for a couple of days, and before I went, I said to myself, I'm going to need a game to play. If there's any downtime, I'm going to want to have a game. I bought and downloaded Faye on my Switch just before that weekend. Played it for about 20 minutes or so on the morning. So it was the first night that I'd stayed at your place, and I got up just a touch earlier before you, or maybe you were in the shower or something. I played it for 20 minutes in your lounge, and then never played it again. So
and you never will play it again. That game will always just be tied to that moment in time.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I played through half of the tutorial level, and and that's all I needed.
In my North Shore flat, just before going to Incubus. That's awesome, man. So we also had Metal Gear Survive, the one that I had actually forgotten about until, and spoilers, we get to biggest shit show of the year in our awards nominations later on. But man, Metal Gear Survive, what a dirty game. Just pure Konami filth, that one.
Yep. Just piling it on.
Yeah. It just had the markings of a cash grab, and basically, beating that Metal Gear corpse. What everyone didn't want Konami to do, we know he did. So they're basically. I mean, do they have any goodwill left, Konami? Do you guys think?
No. I think any goodwill that they had in the first place wasn't tied to Konami, was it?
No.
They may have never had Goodwill. So yeah, it's not looking good.
No, they're not someone I think about anymore, and they're not a. I mean, what do they make? Pro Evolution Soccer nowadays. Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Evolution Soccer, and the odd Metal Gear corpse sort of shuffling corpse sort of thing. But yeah, not a fan of old Konami. We had Age of Empires Definitive Edition on PC. Moving into March, Devil May Cry HD Collection. Now, that was all the Devil May Cries, not including DMC, I believe, because DMC is its own thing.
All four.
All four, yeah, all four of the Devil May Cries. Did anyone pick that up?
Nope.
Devil May Cry?
I have that, but I didn't. I have it on PS3.
It was on PC too.
I have it on PS3. I don't get.
Okay.
I didn't get the one that came out this year.
Gotcha.
So yeah, don't know if it's any. I mean, the games are good. Don't know if the PS4 and PC and whatnot port was.
The ports, yeah.
Good, but.
We had Burnout Paradise Remastered, which was actually... It was not a huge deal, but it was a big deal when that came out for racing fans, and I knew a few people personally who got really excited about that. Burnout Paradise Remastered. And it's a good game. I liked it when it came out. I haven't played the remaster, but I enjoyed Burnout Paradise, and whenever I get a bit more settled, I'll probably pick it up at some point if I just want to have a burn around a city and cause a bit of mayhem. We had Sea of Thieves. Cast your minds back, boys, to Sea of Thieves. That came out this year. This year seems like extremely long to me.
Yeah, it does. It feels like Sea of Thieves was a 2016 game, you know?
Yeah, yeah. A couple of years ago, but...
So, I think it was one of those games that was very shallow. It kind of promised an interesting concept, and then in the end was actually not... It was just a bit mundane. You played it for an hour or two and you'd done everything that it had to offer.
Yeah.
I played I want to say there was like an early access beta or something that I played, because I did play it for a little bit, and was kind of just a bit like, it's a bit chaotic. Wasn't hugely for me, but yeah, it was an interesting idea. Good little sort of test. And I haven't really kept up with it. Like, I don't know if there's much of a community for it anymore.
It had a DLC recently.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it did. From what I knew a couple of people who were playing it on Xbox when it launched, and the main complaints that I heard were there just wasn't enough to do. There wasn't enough content. The overall, the backbone of the game was good. The foundation was good, but there just wasn't enough stuff there. And people got bored extremely fast, and most of the quests were really repetitive and bollocks.
Yeah.
So no one really enjoyed them, but it's a shame because it's Rare, and I love Rare. I always root for Rare. So yeah, I don't know. It's a bit of a shame, and we've also got the game from the Ark guys coming out now. That Atlas game that was shown at the Game Awards, from the Ark Survival Evolved guys. And that basically looks like exactly what Sea of Thieves promised to be. So we'll see how that goes. That might fill that void for those people who are really wanting that sort of pirate. Is it an MMO? I don't know, MMO light or whatever you call it.
If it's by the people that made Ark, it will be optimized incredibly poorly, crash every 30 seconds, and no one will be able to play it. But it'll inexplicably gain a fan base of millions overnight and define the genre.
Yep. It's a funny experience watching people play that game, eh? Like, I know a lot of people who really enjoy that game, and fair play, but watching it, especially in its early days, it hurt your eyes. Like, the frame rate was so bad, it hurt your eyes a lot of the time. There was, like, crashing through the Stegosaurus coming through a wall. You know, the face would just appear through a wall. I'm like, oh, man.
I never even
what gaming is.
tamed a single dinosaur in that game. I played it a tiny bit. I was playing with a mate who had played it heaps and knew what to do, and we knocked out a dinosaur by punching it repeatedly, and then he was like, feed it berries and then it'll join you, so I fed it all my berries and nothing happened. He's like, oh, you didn't have enough. I'm like, I gave it 900. What does it fucking want?
901.
And you have to do them one by one as well. You can't just go, yeah, give him 900. You're like, have a berry,
man.
have a berry, have a berry, have a berry. And I'm just clicking for like 10 minutes. I'm like, what is this game? This sucks.
Oh, no. Well, we'll see. We'll keep an eye on Atlas. I think it's out in early access now, so we'll see what people think of it. We also had A Way Out, which, Regan, did you play that?
I never did. I actually really wanted to, but I just never got around to it.
Yeah, neither.
It was just one of those things that looked really good, looked like fun, looked like a good story, and, everyone loves Joseph Fares, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just literally never got around to it. I probably could. I think it wasn't helped by the fact that it was only on Xbox.
No. It was PlayStation.
Was it?
It was definitely PlayStation. I think it was other platforms too. Yeah, for sure.
Really?
It was
they
100%
just made
PS4.
the reason not as many people played it as would have is they made the immensely critical flaw of not releasing it on Switch, despite it being a 2-player co-op.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, no,
it was,
never got around to it.
I remember PlayStation touting it, or it being in one of their montages, or the things that they have at E3, or the PlayStation Experience, or whatever. No, it was definitely on PlayStation, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd definitely pick it up at some point. I really like Joseph Fares, and I like his previous game Brothers, and I'm sure I'll really like A Way Out. We had Detective Pikachu on 3DS. I imagine no one picked that up. One, it's on 3DS, and two, just because I don't think any of us are that interested in a 3DS Detective Pikachu game.
It sounds like fun, but I'm not going to go out and get another 3DS to play it.
No.
Yep.
It's funny, the 3DS is still getting stuff produced for it, eh? Nintendo even included it in their E3 Treehouse stream thingy this year. Always have that dedicated section to the 3DS, so it looks like it's going away too fast.
It's just so prolific, right? Like it's
yeah,
yeah.
Extremely.
And they said they're not going
console.
to stop making stuff for it until the Switch overtakes it.
Right.
Like right now in Japan, there's a Switch in every household, but there's 3DSs in every household. So it's like when the Switch overtakes or equals the 3DS, that's when they'll stop the 3DS support.
Bold.
Man. Good going,
Very
Nintendo.
pro-consumer, though. Yeah, well done.
We have Ni no Kuni 2, Revenant Kingdom. I've never played a Ni no Kuni game. I love the art style of these, but I don't think they would be for me. It's that turn-based combat, the Final Fantasy, early Final Fantasy style combat and all that sort of thing. But man, I love looking at these games. I absolutely adore looking at these games. It's so nice. And all the monsters are all sort of... it looks like a really wholesome game. All the monsters have these sort of goofy faces. Like there's like the classic slime, which is just this blob with this goofy face on it. I love it. I think it's really good. We had Far Cry 5. Regan, you played this one?
I did play this one. I don't know why. Thinking back on it, I think maybe that month there was just not much else to play. And I like I'd been okay with Far Cry games. It was another Far Cry game. I think what enticed me was that I thought it was going to make some kind of commentary on racism in America, and it was going to be bold and that sort of thing, and it kind of wasn't. It was just another Far Cry game with... Yeah,
I was quite excited about that too. I thought it was going to really skewer the right wing, the rise of the right wing, and also the Westboro Baptist Church, that sort of thing, but apparently it didn't really take a stance.
It was just Far Cry with that particular type of villain, and the story itself was kind of repetitive. Like the thing that weirded me out about it, actually, now that I stop and think about it, was in the story you get caught by the villain like 4 or 5 times, and they just let you go a number of times. Like there were heaps of times where they could have just won, but they just kept letting you go for whatever reason. The story would just carry on. You'd do it all again. So I don't know. It was just another Far Cry game. It looked nice.
Yeah.
It played pretty well on PC, but it wasn't the scathing kind of deep cut that I hoped it was going to be. So yeah.
Do I remember you comparing it to Mafia 3 in that it was just sort of go here, fill out these missions, go here, do the same missions, go here, do the same missions, sort of thing?
Yeah, quite repetitive. Yeah. And if you were playing it on hard, it was annoying because you kept being accosted when you were trying to travel across the map, and you'd get killed, and then you'd have to, so getting about was a chore. It was a bit like Mafia 3, in that it kind of had an okay opening, and then the rest of it was just, go to this area, do this thing, unlock this person to get like a companion, and then it was quite repetitive, which for some people is fine, and some people really like that kind of predictability of what they're going to be doing, but for me it just wasn't pushing any boundaries, which is what I wanted it to do. And so if you like Far Cry and it's your thing, then it'll be your thing for sure.
Did you finish it, Regan?
Yes, I think I did.
Did you see at the Game Awards? It was the Game Awards. They basically spoiled the ending of that game in revealing their new standalone DLC or new game. I guess it's a new game. The new post-apocalyptic Far Cry game set in that same Montana area.
Oh, interesting.
And
right.
They straight up spoil how can it be post-apocalyptic if the apocalypse hasn't happened, right? So wonder what happens at the end of Far Cry 5. It was a really strange move on Ubisoft's behalf, but I guess they were just like, enough people have played it. We can spoil it for everyone.
Or they're like, well, enough people played it at the time, and no one's buying it anymore, so we'll just,
we'll just spoil it. Why not? Very, very odd decision. Moving into April, we had Yakuza 6 Song of Life, which I'm keen as to play when I've played all 5 of the other Yakuza games, because I've heard it's a really awesome series with a really good story, but haven't had the time. God of War came out in April, and you played it at the time it came out. Regan, did you get it?
I sure did.
Right when it came out, yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Did you have it on the release month as well? Release day, release month.
Yeah, and I had it release day, so I was playing it within that first month. So.
Yeah. So you guys had it at the time, and you guys were I suppose part of the hype. I only played it a month and a half ago or something like that, but boy, what a game! Just a. It was very different than what I expected in really good ways for me. I just thought it was such an incredibly well executed re-envisioning / continuation of Kratos and everything that he stood for. I just super blown away by that game, and we'll obviously get to that later in the awards, because how could you not?
Totally. You could pick out any part of that game and have something really positive to say about it, and they obviously they loved what they were doing, and I could talk about it for a while, but we want to keep things moving. You think about the weight of the combat, that was really good, and the enemies were really good, and the story was really good, and it, the way that they shot it was really good, with the single, everything was just really good. It was just a great game.
We get into we've got one more thing to cover before we get out of April. Nintendo Labo. God, every time. Nintendo Labo. Variety Kit came out. Now, this was prior... So I got to experience Nintendo Labo at EGX, which was in, bloody hell, August or something like that. But obviously Nintendo Labo came out, and it came out with all the driving games and the fishing games and all that sort of stuff. We'll also get to that in the awards, because I don't think anyone could have predicted that one either. Nintendo releasing this crazy cardboard peripherals. But,
Genius.
odd thing. May, we had Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze on Switch, which I picked up and absolutely adored. We had Destiny 2 Warmind. Balthazar, did you get in on this when it came out?
I already had all the content prepaid for, so I tried it all
when
it came out.
Yep. Yep. Can you remember Warmind or anything that set that one apart?
It was Destiny, like on the surface it was quite polished and well done, but then after 2 hours when you reached the end of it, you were like, oh, still nothing.
Good old Destiny. I'd be remiss not to mention, although I haven't played it, Pillars of Eternity 2, because we love Obsidian. Regan, did you play Pillars of Eternity? You played the first one. Did you play the second one?
No, I didn't play the second one, just because I couldn't really... They're huge games, and I couldn't justify the price of it at the time. So again, it's another one of those things that I say, like, yeah, I'll play it one day, but I may not, because there's just so many games to play. But yeah, by all accounts, it was fantastic.
Excellent. We have State of Decay 2. Now, this was my first taste of Xbox Game Pass, because they had a promotion. So State of Decay 2 came out, and it was immediately on Game Pass. And I believe I had good internet at that point, so I jumped on and I grabbed Game Pass, because they were selling it for like $5, like a trial sort of thing. So I grabbed that, and I tried out State of Decay 2 with a friend, and I enjoyed the social aspects, mucking around with a friend. The game is pretty rubbish itself. It's there's not much there. There's not really a story. You just kind of muck around and kill zombies and end up doing the same thing over and over and over again, and it gets pretty boring. And there's some sort of like base building components and stuff, but it's a paddling pool, really. I wasn't really a fan of it. If I wasn't playing with a friend, I would have turned it off after 20 minutes or something like that. It was, bit rubs. We Dark Souls Remastered on PS4, Xbox One, and PC, and then obviously we have Dark Souls on Switch coming later on in the year. But yeah, Dark Souls Remastered. Did anyone pick this up? Balthazar, did you pick this up? You already later. The Switch one. Yeah. I've heard good things about the remaster on PS4, and I've never played the original Dark Souls, so I'd be keen to check that out in its best form at some point. But next on we had Detroit Become Human. Balthazar, this is you, man. This is all you. Tell us about a little bit about Detroit.
It's basically go and read all of like the internet's reviews of God of War, how they say it's like the best thing ever made, and how everyone who owns a PS4 needs to play it, and then actually apply it to Detroit, because it's actually the experience that everyone who has the ability to play it needs to play.
This is David Cage's best game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
It's the game that makes him finally legitimately worthy of the praise I heap on him.
Nice. I mean, there's really only one, or maybe two competitors if you count Fahrenheit, but Beyond Two Souls was not a great game.
Yeah, and Heavy Rain only had like one moment in it that was particularly cool.
Yeah, I enjoyed Heavy Rain just because it was something different and it made me laugh a lot. Not for the right reasons, but it did make me laugh a lot. Just drinking orange juice and doing all those menial tasks was quite funny. But yeah, we'll get to Detroit a bit later on again in the awards. Moonlighter came out that month as well. Regan, you didn't pick that up then, but you have picked that up more recently?
Yeah, so it didn't come out on Switch, which is the platform that I wanted to play it on. Then it came out on, I want to say, just PC originally.
Yep.
And it was like, oh well, this is clearly a Switch game. This is where it should be. So I held off, and the price kept dropping on Steam and things, but I stuck to my guns and eventually got it in November on Switch and did a few streams of it. It's a cool little game. definitely a drop-in, drop-out experience kind of thing. It's not the sort of thing you'd sit down and play for hours on end. But a cool little loop. Fun game. Really cool game. I like the idea of... I just like the charming idea. It's kind of like games like Harvest Moon, where it's just a charming idea, and you go, oh, that sounds like fun, and then you get addicted to the little kind of... the little nuances of it, and the colour of it, and the sounds and all that sort of stuff. And it's kind of like that. It's sort of like that. The animations are really nice. It's colourful, fun dungeon gameplay, that sort of thing. So I've enjoyed what I've played of it thus far, for sure.
Yeah, I had a wee crack at that at EGX as well, and really enjoyed it. So I might. It's one of those games that you can pick up and put down anytime, right? It's basically made for that sort of gameplay, I think.
Big time.
So on the Switch is the perfect place for that. To be. We move into June. We had Onrush, which was that sort of racing game. Do you guys remember when that came out? Because not many people do, and it failed miserably, even though it was quite a good game apparently.
I've never heard the name before.
It's a sort of is it from the makers of Burnout? I think it's like Criterion or something like that. And it's basically one of those old school arcade races with destruction and weapons. One of those sort of like fun racing games. I would say, as opposed to the like more arcadey anyway. Yeah, I don't want to trash the sim games, Regan, because I know you enjoy those. But yeah, it was one of those, but it didn't sell very well, so I think they might have gone under since, which is a shame. We had that vampire game. Did anyone play that? Vampyr?
Oh,
you guys remember that?
Vampire,
yeah.
Didn't play it, but by all accounts, it was quite moody and pretty good, I think, from memory.
Someone I worked with had it, and they really enjoyed it.
Okay, I might have picked that up at some point. We had Sushi Striker, The Way of Sushido.
Oh my god. Oh.
I'll switch to 3DS. Balthazar, did you play a demo of this or something? Or
I bought the game. It was a fantastic game.
Oh, you got the full game? Yeah.
Great.
I played a demo and couldn't believe my senses. It was just you would... It was like walking into like a pachinko machine room in Japan and then being strapped down with your eyeballs taped open kind of thing. It was just like, oh, what's going on? It's just so intense the whole time. It was, but obviously people like Balthazar were down on it, so I don't know. Yeah.
It's just a super basic like match as many as you can, or do match 3, like just link shit up to try and get as many as you can to build points, and then shoot your empty plates when you've eaten the sushi at enemies until they die.
Yeah.
Sounds kind of fun, actually.
Just bizarre.
Yeah. We had Unravel 2, which, Regan, you played through that?
I picked it up, didn't finish it.
Didn't finish it?
Yeah, I forgot about Unravel 2.
Yeah, it's not a good sign.
Sitting on my PS4... and I think I streamed the first wee while. It's just unraveled again. It's just the same game again. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember, I think I was either part of that stream or maybe I played it. Maybe I downloaded the demo or something like that. But yeah, I remember playing it and I enjoyed it, the first Unraveled game. But yeah, you're exactly right. There wasn't much more going on.
There was there was the other character. So there was a second Yanni, and that was the new mechanic kind of thing. Which was kind of cool, but yeah, again, like it's just that same aesthetic. And if that was something that you liked and was therapeutic for you, then cool.
Yeah. Props to Coldwood again, because I really enjoyed Unravel, and I probably will play Unravel 2 to completion at some point. But yeah, it's not a huge priority for me. Yep. Fallout Shelter came to PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC.
Move on.
In June. Fallout Shelter. I mean, is that going to be the new Skyrim? Is that going to start? Is that just going to hang around for the next 6 years and just start appearing on everything under the sun?
Well, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Who knows? I mean, we'll get to Bethesda later on, but they definitely have not inspired confidence in the last few months. We have Fortnite on Switch, which was this when the controversy surrounding the PlayStation, not allowing you to link your Epic account if you had played on any other console apart from PlayStation, sort of thing, is when this popped up, and that was a massive clusterfuck, and has since been reversed by Sony. So good work, everyone. Complaining does work. We had Hollow Knight on Switch, which I picked up at the time and absolutely loved. I think I gave that a 9 out of 10. Huge fan of that game. Just everything it does, how it sort of makes you realise that most games really do hold your hand, and Hollow Knight's just like, nah, mate, you gotta work for this. You don't get a map. You don't get to know where you are on the map. What do you think this is, a video game? It's just, I loved it. I loved Hollow Knight. I loved it. Unabashedly brutal, that game, and I loved it for it.
It's truly punishing.
Yeah. Mario Tennis Aces came out on Switch June 22nd. Regan, you reviewed this for us.
Yeah. It's a fun little game. Some big difficulty spikes that will that will hand your ass to you when you think you're doing well. Although, to be fair, I think it was maybe that I was just rubbish at it. Played it online for a bit. It's quite fun online as well. Good little party game, I suppose. Maybe doesn't have a whole lot of longevity. It's not a Mario Kart or a Splatoon type thing, but it was still a fun game, and I'll probably pick it up and play it every now and then. So, it's good.
Nice, man. Moving into July, we had Captain Toad Treasure Tracker on Switch and 3DS, July 13th. I picked up the demo of this on Switch at the time and really enjoyed it, and I really want to pick up the full game. Again, another thing I'm wanting to do when I have some good stable internet. I would love to buy this. I've been thinking about this game for months, and I just want it. It's one of those super low stakes, trundle along, solve a few puzzles, put it down, pick it back up, solve a few more puzzles. It's just a happy little game, and I love those sorts of those Wii Nintendo low stakes projects. So, big fan of that. Octopath Traveler. This was Regan. This was you again.
This was a cool game. I guess its defining feature was its art style, I suppose. It was kind of Square Enix trying out this, like, kind of, what did they call it? Like HD 3D or something like that, or HD 2D, I think, where it's that classic sort of NES art style of early Final Fantasies, but done on a 3D plane and Unreal Engine, I think they used, and with like nice kind of smudging for blurring effects and things like that. And like nice little stories and characters and things, and so it was really just kind of harking back to those early Final Fantasy days. And they did a good job. Again, it was another one where there was sort of a few spikes in difficulty, and if you hadn't, it sort of forced you to play in a certain way where you had to go around and partake in all the stories before you could progress to certain next steps in the other stories. And I feel I don't know whether that was a great call for it, because there might have been people who really were invested in certain characters and just wanted to progress in those stories. Don't know. That could be good or bad. You could argue that either way. But generally, really gorgeous game, and good thing to spend your time with if that's your thing. Those old Final Fantasies,
Nice, man. Yeah, even I was taken by this one. I remember doing the 3-hour trial of it. Because I was just smitten by the art style. Just loved the art style, and played my 3 hours of it, and then remembered that I don't like these sorts of games, so didn't play anymore. But I loved looking at it. It was gorgeous to look at, and it's a good game by all accounts. Moving into August, Dead Cells, forever marred by the Philip Mewson controversy, the review stealing bastard, I suppose we can say.
Yep.
The former Nintendo IGN editor, which, man, what a strange thing this was to happen as well. Remember, he was accused of nicking the Dead Cells review by that small-time YouTuber, or relatively small-time, bigger time than we are. And then he was found, people started digging into his past and found that he plagiarized a whole bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
And he what did he? He even plagiarized his apology.
Did he?
Do you remember? Yeah. Do you guys remember that? Yeah, he apologized, and then everyone found out he'd even plagiarized his apology. It was amazing.
I guess he's sticking to his guns, right? He's got
yeah. He does what he's good at. That's his craft, apparently, is stealing. So, I mean, I suppose he's props to Philip Mewson.
But apparently Dead Cells was a good game. So
oh yeah, I've heard Dead Cells is awesome. Yeah, I'd really like to pick that up. It's another one of those like balls hard games kind of thing, apparently, and just learn a little bit each time you die and continue on. But yeah, seems like a really good game, and was actually nominated for. It was in the Game Awards in one of the categories, in the Keeleys, I should say. I can't remember what it was. Maybe best indie game or something like that. But yeah, good old Dead Cells. I wish we could separate it from the rubbish that happened around it, but can't. It's a funny wee moment in 2018. Monster Hunter World came out on PC in August. I know a few people who picked it up and really enjoyed the port, I suppose. The Walking Dead, the final season, episode 1. Ooh, that's a hard one to look at.
Was it? It was a shit show, wasn't it? And then Telltale is done. Isn't that the thing?
Yeah. Well, they released what? Did they release the first 2 episodes, or was it just that first one? And then Telltale basically just folded. Yeah, it came into public knowledge that Telltale was in dire straits, and then a little bit later it was known that they'd fired 200 people, and and closing down. So yeah, it's a hard one. It's a hard one. We Happy Few came out in August. Yeah,
this one was entertaining. If you haven't seen Jim Sterling's review of We Happy Few, you should check it out. It's entertaining for just how brutal he is with that game. And rightfully so, but yeah, apparently We Happy Few was a disaster.
Yeah, because they ended up changing it, right? It was originally sort of a survival game that they put out, which had very little story, because everyone thought it was going to be a BioShock inspired dealing when we all saw the trailers and things like that, and thought it was going to be a cool little linear mood piece, I suppose, but then it came out and it was just like a survival game. It was like, grindy, sort of a grindy survival game. So due to that backlash, they went back sort of to the drawing board, I suppose, and turned it into what everyone was hoping it was going to, well, sort of what everyone was hoping it was going to be. So yeah, that's had a tumultuous history, that one.
Yeah, apparently it was just super buggy and impossible to play. So
yeah, man, it's a shame. Balthazar, you've sort of disappeared.
Yeah, I'll be back. Or my desk will be back to me.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Lowering the desk.
Lowering the desk. Oh, good old desk. I wish I had a lowerable desk. We had... Well, Balthazar, this is you. World of Warcraft, Battle for Azeroth. You reviewed this for us. I believe you gave it a...
6.3.
7? 6.3. Of course, 6.3. It was I believe what you complimented it on was the meta aspects of them sort of taking the elitists in the Blizzard community and translating that sort of rabble into the actual game, into the factions of the game.
It was kind of just like, it was a good... What it did well, whether it intended to or not, was it split the community in two, which harkened back to the roots of the games where there were two factions and you had to pick a side 12 years, whenever the game came out, and that side was supposed to, represent the type of player you were going to be and all that stuff. And then everyone kind of just forgot about that because from then on they just homogenized all the content and made it the same for everyone. So yeah, it was cool that whether they intended to or not, they recreated that divide in the community based on the side. The game itself was trash.
Nice. We also had Guacamelee 2, which I absolutely adored. I bought that on PC and finished that in a day or two. I loved the first one. The second one is just better. The chicken turns into a soccer ball. What more can you ask for? We also had 2 Point Hospital, which is the theme hospital guys basically making theme hospital again for a modern age. Haven't played it, but heard really good things. We had Destiny 2 Forsaken. Was this the big Destiny revamp, Balthazar? Was this the one that everyone sort of went a bit nuts over?
Yeah, this was basically in Destiny 1 that was a thing called the Taken King expansion, and this was basically Destiny 2's version of the Taken King in a lot of ways, in a way that it fixed the majority of what was wrong with the game and made it a much better game, and in the way that it permanently removed a massive section of the player base of the game. Because even though they fixed everything that was wrong, they did it in the exact same way they did the first time round, so it was kind of just like a big old, cool, this is just a repeating cycle. It doesn't matter how many times you fix the game. When you release Destiny 3, it's just going to be back to bare bones and nothing again for a year, and then you'll release something that fixes it. And a lot of people at that point were just like, nah, it would almost have been better if you didn't fix everything because you went in a different direction with it, because then we'd be like, okay, that's why you cut so much out from the first one, because you didn't want to return to that. But the fact that they literally just returned to the exact state that the previous game was in like 5 years ago, it's just like, well, why did you even do all this bullshit in the middle? To make money, that's why.
Yeah, always down to that, Activision. We had, or moving into September, we had Spider-Man. September 7th, Spider-Man came out. And now, did we all play this?
I didn't.
Did all three of us play this?
Yeah, I don't think
you didn't play it?
did. No.
Regan and I played through it. I loved it. I believe I reviewed it for us on the site in a very strange format. Just basically asked and answered a bunch of questions to myself. And I think I gave it a 9 or something like that. It was, very, very little wrong with that game. There's a bunch of open world fluff, but it's a minor gripe really. The rest of the game was fantastic. Had some story beats that were actually pretty well emotionally charged. Like I thought they were earned and really well pulled off. Some story moments that didn't see coming. Some new faces, some reappropriated old faces, which was quite cool. But yeah, loved it. Insomniac, stellar job on that game. Obviously, we're past the age where superhero games are absolute horseshit, and we're into the new generation of excellent superhero games with the Arkham games and Spider-Man. So I'm very happy with that. Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Regan. This was you?
No, it wasn't. I didn't play it.
Oh no! Right, no, that's right. You traded in Rise of the Tomb Raider.
Yeah,
and they thought it was Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
Yeah, and I got like $50 for it. Yeah,
that's why I thought you'd played it. Yeah. Oh man, yeah, that's amazing.
Hannah played this one. It looked all right, but it also just looked like both of the other Tomb Raider games.
Yeah. I'll play it. I enjoyed both the other Tomb Raider games, so I'll play it at some point. Yeah. But I like that our experience with Shadow of the Tomb Raider is just Regan trading in Rise and them thinking it was Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
Yeah, because the guy...
We should just do a review. Just write a review and that's your review.
Just tell the story of that. Yeah, it was good, man. I loved it. Yeah, and I love that we figured it out on that stream too.
That's right.
Sorry, on
so
the
good.
podcast, I think it was. Yeah, it was great.
On the podcast, yeah, live on the podcast. We had Valkyria Chronicles 4, which I mean, it's not my thing. Balthazar, did you play this?
Yep, streamed it recently
Valkyria
as well.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I like it. It's just a tactics game, really, with a story, and
Yeah.
it's set in a Cold War, inexplicably, with nuclear tanks.
Nice. anime game set in Cold War.
Metal Gear, yeah, basically.
Nice. That sounds really good. It sounds excellent. That's basically just Metal Gear, really. Metal Gear's basically anime anyway.
True.
So, yeah, excellent. We had Life is Strange 2 episode 1, which I haven't played because I played 15 minutes of the original Life is Strange and absolutely despised it. So I can't imagine myself going anywhere near this game. But I don't know. Maybe if it's discounted or free at some point. Moving into October, Astrobot Rescue Mission. Now, none of us have played this, correct? And I am super keen to. Do you guys know this game? Astrobot?
No.
Never heard of it.
Oh, so this is being touted as the system seller for PSVR. It's made by Sony Japan Studio, and it's apparently amazing. It's getting like 9s and 10s.
Wow.
People are just absolutely loving this game. Yeah, it's a strange one.
What's an Astrobot Rescue Mission?
Yeah. Huge praises. Like, people saying that it's the best use of VR ever. Alongside it just being a really neat little game.
It's just the dude from the thing. Was it Playroom?
Yeah, I think it is. Is it the Playroom robot? If it's Sony, it probably is. Yeah, I don't know. There's been comparisons made to like Ape Escape and things like that, but apparently it uses the VR in a really, really fantastic way. So I'm keen to play that when I can get my hands on the PlayStation
90
VR.
On
Yeah,
Metacritic.
hugely high scores, like praised from basically everyone. I'm not sure anyone hated it really. Anyone of note. So yeah, that came out in October anyway. Forza Horizon 4, which was the one set in Great Britain, which was I played it for half an hour and drove around Edinburgh and had a great time, and that was the extent of my experience with it. But it seemed like a really good game, and I would pick it up if I had Game Pass and or a Xbox or a PC that could run it. Fist of the North Star Lost Paradise. Balthazar, you're a fan of this.
This was one of the best games of 2018.
Straight up.
Yeah. I mean, there's almost nothing to say about it. You walk around and you punch people so hard they explode.
It sounds
by the guys that made Yakuza. It's
nice. Yakuza team. We had Mega Man 11, which I don't think any of us played. Mega Man's okay. He doesn't really hold a special place in my heart. Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which I don't think any of us played either. I'd love to try this out because I've heard people ranting and raving about it quite a lot, and I really dug Origins, or what I played of Origins.
The only rant and rave I heard was that if you don't buy the double XP microtransaction, the game is unbearable.
Yeah, extremely grindy and tedious and long. But I just love seeing the Ubisoft worlds. I just like living in that world for a wee while and then having my fill and finishing up. But the map is intimidatingly large. They just keep getting bigger, which is not a great thing. They need to slow that down because it's just getting well out of hand. Ubisoft, but yeah, pretty keen to check that out. Regan, I thought you would have picked up. You're always our Assassin's Creed man.
It just came at an awkward time when I was playing when I was doing other things, or didn't have the money for it, that kind of thing. Again, another one that's on the list to play.
Yeah. I'll ask you, when you do play it, are you going to play as Cassandra or Alexios?
Probably Cassandra, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard the Alexios voice actor is kind of like meh, and Cassandra is really good, so it's probably a good choice.
They got to stop doing that. Like, every time there's you play through the whole game and you can pick your gender at the start and it's fully voiced, they always get a male voice actor who's just like doesn't want to be there. and his delivery is just crap. Like Mass Effect, Male Shepard was just like, oh, I'm here, I'm Shepard, hello. Like, that was it. And then the female one, I don't remember who they got, but just was like a stellar performance all the way through all three games kind of thing. Like, they've got to hire equal quality voice actors.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's like, that's how I make my choice. I don't pick based on who the character is. I'm like, cool, this one's got better voice acting, so I'm going to have a better experience with the story with this one.
That should be a trait, like, like stats of each... in RPGs, different bars and stuff like that.
It should be your
one
charisma.
Of the bars.
However high your charisma is, you have better quality delivery of voice
acting. That's great. I love that. They should definitely weave that in. We had Super Mario Party, which I played in London at a gaming bar. It was fun because I was playing with a friend. If I was playing by myself, it would have been unbelievably depressing. But it's just more Mario Party, really. Not much more to say. It's good. It's fine. Black Ops 4, which I don't think any of us played, but was really well received. Some people are saying it was the best Call of Duty since Modern Warfare 2, I think.
I play that shit constantly.
Black Ops 4?
It. Yeah. I pre-ordered
it
really? And I play it daily. Yeah.
Oh, man. I did not know. So you've been playing Blackout and all that?
No, just the standard multiplayer. We've deviated so far now in modern gaming from the classic COD formula that it's incredibly fun to go back to the classic COD formula for multiplayer. Like, it's been so long since anyone has just put out a basic bitch team deathmatch game where there's no powers, there's no fucking crazy pickups and shit. It's just, you have a gun, the enemy has a gun, shoot each other. That hasn't existed for so long now because it's all battle royales or hero shooters and crazy gimmicks and stuff that it's just incredibly fun to go back and play basic COD multiplayer again in this day and age.
Oh, awesome, man. Oh, I didn't even... Yeah, I assumed that Black Ops 4 would have, people with skills, like, I mean, characters with skills, not the people who play it. Obviously, it's got people with skills. And also, like jetpacks and all that sort of shit. So I'm glad to hear, because I used to love Call of Duty. COD 4 and Modern Warfare 2 and Black Ops 1 to some extent. Loved those games. I had such a good time with those. So, that's awesome, man. That's good to hear. We had Dark Souls Remastered on Switch, which you picked up, Balthazar, as well.
Yep.
And you enjoyed that?
Yes. So, Dark Souls Remastered is the best Dark Souls 1.
Mm-hmm.
Arguable, and most people would say no, that the original was much better because the PC version apparently is crap, and most players are on PC. But on console, Dark Souls Remastered is the best version of Dark Souls 1. However, Dark Souls 1 does not stack up to Dark Souls 3.
Which isn't surprising, really.
Because they literally just ported the original. They didn't update the controls and stuff like that to make it play like the new ones with all the improvements. So it's like, I enjoy it, but I haven't finished it, and I may never finish it, because whenever I play it, I'm like, I just want all those quality of life improvements from 3, and I just go and play 3 again.
Nice. Yeah, I'm pretty keen to try out a Dark Souls. Do you think... I mean, you can just jump into any one of them, eh? It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, the story, while it continues, it's also just the exact same thing every time, just on repeat. Yeah. So the whole point of the game is it's just a cycle. So I would definitely recommend just playing 3.
Nice. I'll pick that up on Switch at some point. We have a big boy. Red Dead Redemption 2 came out in October. Reagan, you're the Red Dead man. I played a fair chunk of this as well. I mean, tell us about Red Dead 2, man.
Where to start? It's a difficult game to talk about for me, because there's so much that it does right, and yet at the same time it is kind of flawed in some ways as well. But it's not flawed enough for me to kind of ruin the whole experience or anything like that. It's a technical marvel. I'll talk about this a little bit more later on, but technically it's impressive. It's that level of polish that you would expect from Rockstar that kind of sets it apart, I think. some mundane stuff, some really incredible stuff. Yeah, it's almost hard to even stop and start to percolate on it, but we can dig into it a bit more later on.
We'll get to it later. When Rockstar games come out, for me, it's like I'm not the hugest fan of them, but it gets into my blood. Like Rockstar games, I always find myself addicted to watching YouTube videos on them, scouring screenshots for clues and details and things, and it's just an event. It's always an event, and it's just so I don't know. It's almost like the hype is better than the game in a way for me. I really enjoyed Red Dead 2, but man, I love getting on board the hype train for Rockstar games. It's good fun. There's a lot of crazy, wild things that are said at points.
Yes.
I remember the GTA 5 one is when I joined GTAforums.com, and we all started doing forensic investigations on every screenshot they released, and we were all comparing notes. It was insane. Like, that was the most obsessed with the game I've been for a long, long time. It was Grand Theft Auto 5. Didn't even really like the game that much when it came out. I was like, but love the hype train for that. The last one for October, Balthazar, you played this recently, was Call of Cthulhu, the official video game, as it's called. You were sort of so-so on this.
Yeah, that game was... The final half, the latter half was incredible. Really good game. The first half was so incredibly mundane and boring that no matter how good the second half is, I would never recommend anyone play that game, because the start is so shit. Like, I'm glad I pushed through, because I set myself the challenge to push through, and on the second half, I really enjoyed it and was actively wanting to go back and carry on playing the game and just get to the end. It became really good, but it's one of those things. If someone was a third of the way through already, I would recommend they persevere, because the worst if it's behind them. But if someone hasn't touched it at all, I wouldn't recommend they pick it up at any point, for any price.
Oh, wow.
Any price.
Scathing. Moving into November, we had Diablo 3 on the Switch, which is awesome. It's cool that's now on the Switch. We had Hitman 2, which I don't think anyone's played, although has been receiving good reviews and acclaim and stuff like that.
It looked so bad.
Really?
It looked like a PS2 game.
What part? The New Zealand level?
Just all the visuals, all the graphics looked like they were from the early 2000s. I thought, honestly, when I saw it announcement, it came out with very little fanfare at all. So when I finally found out about it and looked at it, I thought it was literally one of the PS2 games just ported to PS4. And they did the best they could with the PS2 engine. Like, that's what it looked like to me.
Oh, poor IOI. I'm sure it's decent, and I want to pick it up just to play that Hawke's Bay level. I'm so keen to play that Hawke's Bay level. I just want to see what it's like. If you can get if they've got some Kiwi accents in there, it'll be hilarious. Especially if it's a non-Kiwi actor who's doing a Kiwi accent, that would be amazing. If you can go in and poison someone's Hella's sausages on their barbecue or something.
Yeah.
I'd love just to hear the general chatter. You're just walking around trying to infiltrate somewhere, and you just hear someone in the background. Oh, bro, is a hoon on your lime scooter?
Yeah.
That'll be great. It's just get picked up for overfishing power or something like that.
Yeah.
We had Spyro Reignited Trilogy, which I thought for some reason, Regan, you're the Spyro fan, so I assumed that you had played this, but
again,
no.
I was still playing Red Dead at the time, and there's just been other things going on in life and haven't picked it up. It's there, and I know it's there, and I'm gonna play it.
It's not going anywhere.
It's not going anywhere. I think I've just been a bit of a lazy gamer this year, and so but I will play it for sure, absolutely, 100%. It's the Crash Insane trilogy for me. So it's just a matter of finding the time, really. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm keen to pick that up as well. Would it come to Switch?
Maybe.
Is it because Insomniac's not owned by Sony?
Yeah.
Or it's not even Insomniac, because it's the other developer. But I would say it'd be perfect. I'd definitely pick it up on Switch for sure. Okay, all right. Fallout 76 came out in November. I mean, we have a lot to say about Fallout 76. Probably not for this for this part of the podcast. Later on, we will definitely get to Fallout 76. So let's move on from that. We had Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. Balthazar, you picked this up, or your partner picked this up?
We both did. She got it first.
You both picked it up?
And then after watching it a bit, I was like, yeah, I want this.
Decent enough Pokemon game?
It's, it is. It's very good. A lot of the changes they made in it were really good. Some of them I'd like them changed back. But all in all, I'd say it's probably the best way to play the old Red and Blue and Yellow.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I'm excited. That you've sold me on it right there. I had never heard that before, and now I'll probably pick it up at some point. So that's wicked. This is a funny one because this came and went. For me, there wasn't much fanfare. I don't know. Maybe I was just disconnected from this particular game. But Battlefield 5 came out. Did Regan? You're usually the Battlefield man as well. Did you? Was that just
yeah, I didn't even know it was a thing. It was just a case of
the same thing as Spyro, same thing as those other games.
Probably,
AC,
yeah. But
Odyssey,
then also, I think you're fair in saying that there wasn't a whole lot of fanfare. Like it just where were the trailers on Facebook or something? You know, like it didn't come up. So
where were the posters plastering every inch of the city, sort of thing? Like
exactly, yeah. Like yeah.
That's a funny one. I don't know. I'll pick that up when it's like $10 because I like those war stories that they had in the Battlefield 4. Was it 4?
Battlefield 1?
Battlefield.
Yeah, Battlefield
that's
1.
what was confusing me. Battlefield 1. Yeah. Knew it wasn't Battlefield 4. I really like those, so I'll pick that up at some point to play through those. But yeah, I'm not going to pay more than $10 for that game. We had Warframe on Switch, which is awesome. That's a really cool platform to have that game on, for people who enjoy Warframe, and obviously there's a shit ton of people out there who enjoy Warframe, including Balthazar, who's a massive fan of Warframe. So good on what's the developer called? I can't remember. Creative Assembly? No, that's not them. Digital Extremes. That's right. Good on Digital Extremes. I know they're based in Canada, but I couldn't remember their name. We had Darksiders 3. Balthazar, did you end up playing this?
I haven't played it yet. I still plan to at some point, despite its negative reviews, because I loved the first two. So even just for the continuation of the story, I want to play it. But yeah, sounds like it was pretty lackluster. They moved away from what it was, which was a Zelda clone, to make it a Dark Souls clone.
Right.
But a bad Dark Souls clone, and also it would have still been better as a Zelda clone. Maybe they were afraid. They were like, oh, now Breath of the Wild has come out. We can't clone Zelda because the best one has come out. But it's like, but you were cloning the original Zelda games, and Breath of the Wild was nothing like the original Zelda game. There is still that desire for new, original style Zelda games kind of thing. So it was the perfect time for it to still come out as the original two were. But they changed it. Supposedly for the worse, but I still am interested.
Nice. And then moving on into December, we have Just Cause 4, which I don't think any of us have played either, which I'm not particularly interested in at all. I haven't been since like Just Cause 2.
The weather mechanic looks cool. How there are natural disasters in it and shit. Like, you just be running around and all of a sudden there's a hurricane and everything around you is being sucked into it. Like, that's cool.
I was listening to some podcasts and they said the weather mechanic is extremely context sensitive. Like it's only used in a few missions, sort of thing.
Oh, that's lame.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought it was really dumb because that's their whole. This is why Just Cause 4 is different than Just Cause 3. Weather. That was their whole thing. So yeah, I don't know. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate came out. We haven't talked about this because we haven't done a pod since it came out. Have either of you guys picked up Super Smash Bros?
I have not. Balthazar has.
You picked it up. Nice, man. What's the verdict on Super Smash Bros?
I'm a dedicated Smash Ultimate streamer now. It's great. It's the best Smash to date, in my opinion.
Yep.
I mean, no, not even in my opinion. It is. People who say it isn't are wrong. They just have those stupid, like, purely... Like, there's this thing where Smash Bros. Melee, like, fucking 20 years ago now, whenever that thing came out, that is the one that's always been the competitive one, and they've just never moved on from that one. So, like, it has the fucking mechanics we're used to. This is the best one. It is. Objectively, it's the best Super Smash Bros. Game.
Because it's got, what, 70 something characters, right? Like, an insane character roster.
It's got a huge roster. It's got every map plus new ones, every music track plus new ones. Like, it's got everything. And it made it more grounded and less floaty controls from the previous one, which was the biggest complaint about the previous. Like, literally, Sakurai did what he said, which is he took everything everybody asked for and put it in one, so nobody asked him for anything ever again. Like,
I remember that quote from him.
He legitimately did everything everyone asked for. So it is objectively the best Smash game.
I love that quote made it into an actual Nintendo Direct Day. It's just translation comes out down the bottom. It's like, never ask me for anything ever again. It's no hint of a joke. Like, no complete.
His other thing was he's never making another Smash game again if Smash Ultimate doesn't get Game of the Year, because he makes the games for the fans, and if a game where he gave them literally everything they ever wanted isn't Game of the Year, then his fans don't know what they want, so what's he making them for?
Fair play. The logic is sound on that one, Sakurai. One more game, and this will be very quick. Balthazar, I know you're a fan of the series. Earth Defense Force 5 came out in December. You picked that up, or planning on picking it up?
That one. They do this thing where they come out at full price pretending they're a real game, but then a month later they're like $10. So I'll grab it next month when it's like $10. Like, they're nice. Very fun, but they're not proper games. You just play them for the laughs. That's it. For how absurd they are.
Good stuff.